In this video, we'll learn what declension means, we'll learn the endings for the second declension, and we'll talk about the difference between declensions and grammatical genders. In Latin, noun endings change to reflect cases. We say that nouns decline. The changes to the endings follow one of 5 different patterns, and we call each of these patterns a declension. Adjective endings also change to follow declensions. First, let's look at the difference between declensions and grammatical genders. This will matter when declining nouns and adjectives. The dictionary entry for a noun has 3 parts. The first part is the nominative singular. In our sample noun, we're using sailor, nauta. The second part is the genitive singular. In our sample noun, the genitive singular ending for nauta is nautai. The third part of the dictionary entry is the grammatical gender. There are 3 grammatical genders in Latin, and every single noun has a grammatical gender, either masculine, feminine, or neuter. Nauta, nautai is masculine. Memorize the gender of each noun with the dictionary entry. The gender of the noun is fixed and never changes, and the only way that you can know the gender of the noun is by looking it up in a dictionary. Nouns that end in a in the nominative singular and I in the genitive singular follow the first declension. We'll learn several nouns that follow this pattern, like puella, puellai, which is a feminine noun meaning girl, and rosa, rosai, which is a feminine noun meaning rose. Most of the nouns in the first declension are feminine, but you'll notice that some, like nauta, nautai, are masculine. The dictionary entry for an adjective has 3 parts. The first part is the masculine nominative singular. Our sample adjective means great or large, and in the masculine nominative singular, it's magnus. The second part of the dictionary entry is the feminine nominative singular. For our sample adjective, that's magna. The last part is the neuter nominative singular. In our sample adjective, the neuter nominative singular is magnum. The feminine form of this adjective, magna, follows the first declension endings, which we're learning today. The masculine and the neuter forms, magnus and magnum, follow second declension endings, which we'll be learning in later chapters. So the noun nauta, which is masculine, must be modified by the masculine adjective magnus. For today, we will learn how to decline nauta, but we will not learn how to decline magnus until next chapter. So for now, you cannot talk about great sailors. You can only talk about sailors. Rosa, on the other hand, is feminine, and you must modify a feminine noun with a feminine adjective. So you can talk about great roses, or in the singular, rosa magna, a great rose. First, I'm going to put up all of the different cases: nominative, genitive, dative, accusative, ablative, and vocative. Then I'll put up the endings for you. In the first declension, the endings for these cases are ah, I, ah. In the plural, the endings are I, arum, is, as, is, I. These are the endings that we'll add to the individual noun stems to get the noun in all of the various cases. To find the stem, you go to the dictionary entry. Let's use the word gate, porta, portai, which is feminine. As I told you before, the first part of the dictionary entry is the nominative singular, and the second part is the genitive singular. If you remove the endings that are nominative singular and genitive singular, you're left with the stem port. That's the stem to which you'll add all of the case endings to get the noun in every single case. So the declension of this noun is porta, portai, portai, portam, porta, porta. Portai, portarum, portis, portas, portis, portai. Say that over and over and over again. Write it out many, many times. You will have a quiz on this chart. For the adjective, you get the stem by crossing off the nominative singular endings of each gender, us, and you're left with magn. You'll recall that porta is a feminine noun, which means that if we want to talk about a great gate or a large gate, we need to modify it by the feminine adjective magna. So write out our stem each time and then add the first declension endings which we just learned. The great gate in the nominative is porta magna. Great gates, plural, is portae magnae. In the accusative singular, if you want to talk about something that happens to a great gate, the direct object, it's portam magnam. For the last slide, let's look at some examples of how each of these cases are used in a sentence. We'll be working primarily with nouns of the first declension, since that's the only declension we know. I'm repeating the endings here for you so that you can look at them as I use the words in a sentence. The first sentence is poeta puellae magnas rosas dat. The first word, poeta, that short A ending, can either be nominative singular or vocative singular. It cannot be ablative singular because ablative has a long A. We're not talking directly to anyone, so the vocative is not possible. Instead, it is the nominative singular is the only possibility left. Puellae could either be the genitive singular, the dative singular, or the nominative plural. If we look over at the verb dat, you'll see that the verb requires a singular subject. If it were a plural subject, it would have to be the word dant, they give. So with a singular subject, dat, that means between poeta and puellae, only poeta can be the nominative for this particular sentence. Only poeta can be the subject of the verb dant. Magnas, rosas, agree in gender, number, and case. They are both accusative plural. As the accusative, this makes a very good candidate for the direct object of the sentence. The poet gives large roses. The only thing that now is left is puellae. It could be genitive singular or dative singular, but with a verb of giving, you're expecting an indirect object. So let's rule out genitive singular and instead go with the indirect object of the sentence, which makes it dative singular. The poet gives large roses to the girl. Our next sample sentence is puellae nautis rosas poetae dant. Puellae can either be genitive singular, dative singular, or nominative plural. You'll see that the verb here is expecting a plural subject, so puellae is a strong possibility. It's also very common to put the subject first in a Latin sentence. Nautis can either be dative plural or ablative plural. We haven't learned any uses of the ablative plural yet, so we'll cross that one out and we'll go with dative plural, which likely makes it the indirect object. That means that puellae is very unlikely to be a dative singular, another indirect object. Rosas can only be accusative plural, making it very likely the direct object. Poetae, just like puellae, could be genitive singular, dative singular, or nominative plural. As I mentioned before, it's far more likely to have the subject as the first word in the sentence. So it is unlikely that poetae is the nominative plural. We know it's not the dative singular because we already have an indirect object. So now, puellae is our most likely subject, and that makes poetae most likely genitive singular. It is common to have a genitive directly after the noun that it is possessing. So it would be the roses of the poet, or the poet's roses. The sentence means, the girls give the poet's roses to the sailors, or the girls give the roses of the poet to the sailor. And our last sample sentence, patria puellarum sine pecunia non valet. Patria can only be nominative singular or vocative singular. Again, we're not speaking directly to patria, therefore vocative is not possible. It's probably the subject, the fatherland. Puellarum can only be the genitive plural. As I said, the genitive often comes after the word that it is possessing. So the fatherland of the girls, or the girls' fatherland. Pecunia can only be ablative singular. Here it occurs with the preposition sine, meaning without. Sine pecunia as a phrase means without money. Non means not, and wallet is the verb. So altogether, the sentence means the fatherland of the girls does not thrive without money. Or there's many ways to translate that in English, the verb in English. The fatherland of the girls is not thriving, does not thrive without money. Either one of those would work. Thank you for sticking with me, and I'll see you next time. Bye.